The conceptions of cyclicality and interconnectivity of things were always very familiar to Japanese people. They were defined by the syncretic history of Japanese religion called Shinbutsu Shugo, referring to the eclectic connection between Buddhism and Shinto. And quite surely their impact on culture was unavoidable, and we can clearly see that, especially if you look at Japanese poetry. And when the video game culture started to develop, it did not become an exception, because those conceptions got very evident manifestations there. And there was a video game company that took those and started creating games upon them. So let's finally get to the topic. What do the games in the Soulsborne series have in common? They have quite similar gameplay, they share lots of similar mechanics, they're all dark, their story, lore and character presentations are also very similar. They even share some items and weapons, but no matter how much the developers tease us with those games referencing each other, with all those similarities with characters like Chester, whose whole identity alludes to the fact that he's from Yarnam, yet those games are taking place in different worlds, and Miyazaki himself confirms this fact. So it seems to be a dead end, or maybe not. There is one more thing that connects all the games in the series: Patches. He was always perceived as just a manifestation of Miyazaki's darkish humor, his little signature, because Patches didn't contribute much to the lore of the games, and it seemed like his presence was justified not by the worlds of the games, but by the developers of those. However, in the Ringed City he appears. This got me thinking, despite his insignificance, why is he there? In the final DLC of the final game in the series, the Ringed City exists at the end of time, beyond the end of the world. Armies tried to invade it and were instantly crushed and devoured by the place. But he was just there. I mean, why did they want to put him there so badly? What's so important about him? Now I believe that his appearance in the Ringed City is fully justified by his last words.
Every age, it seems, is tainted by the greed of men. Rubbish to one such as I, devoid of all worldly wants. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way we are. I'll stick you in my prayers. A fine dark soul to you.
It seems like we are meant to learn a lot from his little monologue. Thanks to the Purging Monument, he gets his memories back, and he's probably the first character who is aware of his previous reincarnations. He has memories of it, and with all this knowledge, he says that each time the greed of man is the reason. I believe that he's talking not only about the world of Dark Souls, but about all the worlds he witnessed. I think I get it now. In each one of those games we are facing a world in which something terrible happened long time ago, and the reason for that was always greed. Not only in Dark Souls, King Alan's greed for power and prosperity was the reason. William and Lawrence's greed for knowledge was the reason. And even you, the player, you appear from nowhere in those worlds, and right after that you slaughter their almost whole population, getting souls, blood, resources, items and valuables. Isn't it greed? Greed is the genuine driving force of those worlds, and the reason all events in those games are even taking place. And as for Patches, his true nature, the true reason he exists is that he is the one who lives off the greed of others. He is the most natural and accurate reflection of such a world, and that is why he exists, and that is why From Software put him there to say those words, in the place beyond the end of the world and the end of time, in the final piece of content of the last game in the series. Even though he was already present in the original game, they did it to make us finally realize his true part in the Soulsborne series, which he knows as well. And yet, no matter how obvious the connections between those games are, they're still taking place in different worlds. This suspicious girl in the attic, what is she painting? Her palette is the blood of the dark soul, which happens to be the essence of humanity. And with such a resource she can paint a full-fledged, self-sufficient and habitable world she wants. And there are lots of speculations about it. Some want to believe that it'll be the world of Bloodborne, because blood, you know. Some are very passionate about this idea and some are not. But I think that in all those speculations we are missing something very crucial. In any case, we don't know what she's painting, we cannot know. And I believe that the game doesn't tell us it for a reason. And that reason is, it doesn't matter. What truly matters is the fact that she is painting a world. She is the demiurge basically, and this is crucial because from this we now know that it is possible to create a full world by the rules of this universe. And we know that those worlds can exist in relation to one another and even influence each other, and this is the key. The whole point, it doesn't really matter what world she's painting, because we already have proof of the existence of the universe inside of the Soulsborne series. And all those similarities, all those things and rules it shares because they're applied not to each one of those worlds separately, but to the whole universe that unites them. And that's why Patches reincarnates in all those worlds. That's why his soul is much more powerful than the souls of the old ones, granting him ability to maintain his entity name and his magnificent bald head, unlike the bearers of the Great Souls that had different names and different appearances each time. Because unlike those, he exists reflecting the nature not of those worlds, but of the whole universe of the Soulsborne series. And that's it. We have lots of obvious reasons to believe that those worlds are indeed connected, and now we have an explanation of how it works. What more do we need? So every age, it seems, will be tainted by the greed of men, and there will always be Patches making hay of it.